بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي خلق السماوات والأرض وجعل الظلمات والنور ثم الذين كفروا بربهم يعدلون وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله بشر وأنذر لا خير إلا دل الأمة عليه ولا شر إلا حذرها منه فصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه ومن اهتدى بهداه إلى يوم الدين نسأل الله جل وعلا أن يبصرنا بالحق وأن يمن علينا بالامتثال به والثبات عليه حتى يتوفانا وهو راض عنا اللهم إنا نسألك علما نافعا وقلبا خاشعا وعملا متقبلا اللهم اجعل تجمعنا هذا تجمعا مرحوما وتفرقنا من بعده تفرقا معصوما ولا تجعل فينا شقيا ولا محروما اللهم إنا نعوذ بك أن نضل أو نضل أو نزل أو نزل أو نظلم أو نظلم أو نجهل أو يجهل علينا اللهم آمين. All praise is due to Allah. We praise Him, we worship Him, we seek His tawfiq, we seek His assistance, and we pray to Him subhanahu wa ta'ala to teach us that which is beneficial to us and to give us the tawfiq to apply it. فَإِنَّهُ مَنْ يُرِدِ اللَّهُ بِهِ خَيْرًا يُفَقِّهُ فِي الدِّينِ اللهم فقهنا في الدين. اللهم لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. اللهم ارزقنا الإخلاص في القول والعمل. اللهم آمين. Tonight is the night of the first of Safar for the year 1439 since Hijrat al-Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, which translates into October 21st of the Gregorian calendar 2017. I pray to Allah Azza wa Jal to make all the brothers and sisters who are present with us in this masjid, to make them blessed, mubarakeen, blessed in themselves and in their families, and those who might be tuning in live and with us, watching with us on YouTube. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq to learn and apply and be pleased, be among those whom Allah Azza wa Jal is pleased with. Allahumma ameen. And before I start, and I forget, I do see some new faces. We do have a mailing list. So if you're interested, we only send typically once a week, on a weekly basis, one message. So if you're interested in writing down your email address to receive updates from us, you're welcome to do so. Do you need a pen? Oh, that's a pencil. Should do the job. Before we get into our main topic, brothers and sisters, those who have been with us know that we've been commenting on this great text of Aqidah called Aqidah At-Tahawiyyah. And just if I can ask you a favor, if you write down your email, please write it, in a legible way. I sometimes have a hard time reading the email addresses, and I have to guess and second guess, and sometimes it's not easy to read the emails. So try to write it as clearly as possible. Barakallah fiqh. So we've been commenting on this great text of Aqidah called Aqidah At-Tahawiyyah by Imam Abu Ja'far At-Tahawi Al-Hanafi rahimahullah ta'ala. And inshallah tonight we're going to continue our discussion of our belief that the people of paradise see their Lord with their own eyes after they enter paradise. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us among them. But before I start, the reason I wanted to actually spend some time on this, subhanAllah, I happened to be yesterday at a masjid, attending a lecture, and then after that lecture there was, some pizzas, and, the brothers sat around, and we had, different discussion. And wallahi, brothers and sisters, it shocked me, even scared me, what I heard from some of the parents about the doubts, about the lack of understanding about the hesitation about some of the very important foundation of our belief. Iman, or the articles of Iman, or the basic understanding, the foundation of the understanding of this deen. And to be frank with you, what scared me most is that this is not the first time I hear this. I keep on hearing this over and over again, and this is something that we've talked about. Al-Iman in the Qadr of Allah Azza wa Jal, and understanding what this Iman entails, what it covers. And some people misusing Al-Qadr to justify the sins that they do, or questioning the wisdom of Allah Azza wa Jal, or questioning the knowledge of Allah Azza wa Jal. That's a very dead serious matter. Without clarity, without truly understanding this important pillar of the Iman, that puts the very Islam of the person into jeopardy, into question. And like I said, this is so fundamental to the deen that we should have an understanding of it. That doesn't mean that you're going to understand everything in the Qadr. Brothers and sisters, we should understand, we should set the expectations right first. Right? We should know our limits as creature of Allah Azza wa Jal, as the creation, as the servants. We're not the Lord. We don't have the same knowledge as Allah Azza wa Jal. The knowledge of Allah Azza wa Jal is the all-encompassing knowledge. His knowledge, muhita bi kull shay, encompasses everything, in general and in the very details, in the greatest details. You need to understand and know your limits as a servant, as abd lillah. Otherwise, that person is arrogant. If the servant, if al-abd of Allah Azza wa Jal does not know his or her limits, then they're going to turn into an arrogant person who will never be guided. Never. So unless you know your limits and stop at them, not try to cross them, you'll never be guided. You need to understand that the qadr of Allah Azza wa Jal is the secret of Allah Azza wa Jal. That's the first thing. And you need to keep this on top of your head. Al-Qadr Sirrullah. That's the secret of Allah Azza wa Jal. For a good reason. He kept it a secret so that people don't rely on the Qadr of Allah Azza wa Jal. Don't just defer all their deeds and all their actions to the Qadr and take it as an excuse. And leave al-amal. Because those who are from the people of Jannah may just slack off. I'm from the people of Jannah, so I may as well just quit doing. Right? And those of the people of hellfire, wal-iyadhu billah, will say, okay, I will also continue doing what I'm doing because I know I'm from the people of hellfire, so what's the point? Allah Azza wa Jal kept this as a secret on purpose because there is a great wisdom behind it. To keep trying, to keep doing better and better and better. What is so scary and what is so shocking is that, like I said, people are now taking excuse in qadar to justify what they do. When this is a wrong excuse and it is a wrong use of al-qadar of Allah Azza wa Jal. Al-Qadr shall never be used as an excuse for the person's sins and disobedience. Never. It's not an excuse. It's not a valid excuse. And like I said, we've talked about this before multiple times. Do you remember this discussion? We talked at different occasions. We talked about that. We talked about it as part of the 40 Hadith Nawawi. We talked about that when we were talking about the Tawheed and the Iman and the 6 pillars of an Iman. We talked about this also earlier in this series of our commentary on this text of Aqidah. But the reason I see that we need to go back and reiterate there is always a benefit so that we know how we should look at Al-Qadr and how we should think about Al-Qadr and how we should understand Al-Qadr. Wallahi, what shocked me most yesterday is that the parents who are talking about their kids and their misunderstanding of Al-Qadr and how they're misusing it, they themselves, meaning the parents, I'm referring to the parents, they themselves don't understand it well. to begin with, so they're not able to explain it to their own kids either. And that's a big problem. That's a big problem. Ya Ikhwan, we came into this country, a country where there's a huge mixture of different religions, of different ideologies, of religions and no religions for that matter, atheism and whatnot. And your kids are going to schools, public schools, and interacting with people from different backgrounds. And then they're going to later on go to the colleges and universities, and then to the job, to businesses, and they're going to hold jobs where they're going to be talking to different people. If they don't have a strong footing on which their iman relies, they're going to go into doubt with the slightest hint of different arguments. Right? And then people, like I said, they start slacking off and relying on the qadar, misuse of the qadar. Why did he do that? Well, this is in my qadar. This is what Allah Azza wa Jalla wrote on me. It's not my mistake. It's not my mistake. It's the qadar of Allah Azza wa Jalla to be blamed. A'udhu billah. Is that how we should understand it? This way of thinking has several issues with it. For one, or that person, I'm not addressing you in particular, and don't get me wrong, if I ever do that, I don't mean you personally, don't get me wrong. But whoever make that argument, whether he or she realizes it or not, they're accusing Allah Azza wa Jal with injustice. Why? Because if you're blaming the qadr of Allah Azza wa Jal, you're basically saying, I sinned not out of free will, because this has been written on me, and then Allah Azza wa Jal will judge me based on that and punishes me for that. What kind of justice is that? That's no justice. So whether you know it or not, you're blaming and you're accusing Allah Azza wa Jal. Ta'ala Allah, 'uluwan kabira. Ta'ala Allah amma yaqulu adh-dhalimuna 'uluwan kabira. You're actually accusing Allah Azza wa Jal of being unjust. Hasha lillah. Allah huwa al-'adl. Allah is the ultimate just. As a matter of fact, Allah Azza wa Jal tells us that He forbade and He didn't have to. Allah Azza wa Jal does not have to forbid anything on Himself. Yet He forbade the dhulm on Himself. He says in the Hadith al-Qudsi, قُلْ يَا عِبَادِ إِنِّي حَرَّمْتُ الظُّلْمَ عَلَى نَفْسِي. For all my servants, I forbade injustice upon myself. He didn't have to. Nothing can compel Allah Azza wa Jal into forbidding something on Himself. Nobody. Yet out of His ultimate perfection, and injustice is a deficiency. So He forbade it on Himself. And He said, I forbade, O my servants, I forbade injustice upon myself, and I made it forbidden among you. So do not transgress, do not treat one another unjustly. Allah Azza wa Jal is just, is perfectly just. So when you accuse and when you blame your deficiencies, sins, shortcomings, disobedience, when you blame it on the qadar of Allah Azza wa Jal, you're accusing Allah Azza wa Jal of injustice. Ta'ala Allah. That's one. Second, you're claiming that you know the qadar of Allah Azza wa Jal ahead of time, and this is why you're actually using it as an excuse. Ikhwan, let me ask you a question. When you use something as an excuse, doesn't mean that you actually know that thing. Can you take an excuse of something that you do not know? Doesn't make any sense, right? It has no meaning whatsoever. It doesn't make any sense. It's incomprehensible that you use something that you do not know as an excuse. When you use the qadar of Allah Azza wa Jalla as an excuse, you're claiming that you know al-ghayb, the unseen. And what Allah Azza wa Jal wrote you, and now you're doing what you knew already that was written on you. How on earth did you know what Allah Azza wa Jal wrote on you? How did you know that? what is so ironic, and this is, like I said, from the misunderstanding and the arrogance of those people, subhanAllah. What is so arrogant and what is so ironic is that they only use, or rather misuse, it's not using, it's misusing, misunderstanding and misrepresenting al-qadar when it is against them. But when it works for them, they don't allow that. They don't accept it. Let me tell you what I mean by that. Somebody who claimed he erred, wronged himself or herself, sinned, disobeyed their Lord, right? That this is because of what's written on them, not because they chose to do it. These people themselves. If you ask them, if a thief comes to your home and try to steal from your house, and you catch them, if you ask them why you're stealing from me, if they tell you, if that thief tells them, right? If that thief tells them, that, oh, don't blame me, I'm only doing this because of the qadr of Allah Azza wa Jal, so you should forgive me. They say, wait a minute there. What do you mean? What kind of a trick are you playing on me? What do you mean by qadr? You're trying to steal from my house. Don't blame it on the qadr. SubhanAllah, how come that when it comes to your own sins, you blame it on the qadr? Somebody trying to steal from your house, you don't accept that this is by the qadr of Allah Azza wa Jal that they are stealing from your house. You're driving your car, and all of a sudden somebody, right, rams into your car and hits it, and damages your car. Tells you, sorry, it's by the qadr of Allah Azza wa Jal. قَدَّرَ اللَّهُ مَا شَاءَ فَعَلَ. Yes, I understand that قَدَّرَ اللَّهُ مَا شَاءَ فَعَلَ. But that's your own mistake. Will they accept it? That it is by the qadr of Allah Azza wa Jal, and they shouldn't compensate the person? They won't accept that argument, will they? They'll not. They will not. Why? Because now it is against them. Like the same thinking, the same methodology. When you err, when you make mistake, when you sin, how come now you are actually blaming on the qadr of Allah Azza wa Jal? We say to that person, you are blaming it on the qadr of Allah Azza wa Jal. How did you know before you committed that sin? How did you know before you committed that sin that this is what was written on you, that this is what is written in the qadr of Allah Azza wa Jal, and this is why you sinned? Before you sinned, you have no way of knowing. You could never tell. You're assuming after you sinned that this is what was written on you, and now you're using it as an excuse for your own deficiency that you did out of your own free will. And that leads us to the other thing, the other aspect of it, is when you claim that when you sin and you wrong yourself, that this is by the qadr of Allah Azza wa Jal, you're denying that you have your own will, free will, that you chose to do what you did out of your own free will. And Allah Azza wa Jal told humanity that each person has their own free will. Allah Azza wa Jal, Rabbul Izzati wal Jalal yaqul in the Quran, وَمَا تَشَاءُونَ, your Mashi'a, وَمَا تَشَاءُونَ, O son of Adam, وَمَا تَشَاءُونَ إِلَّا أَن يَشَاءَ اللَّهُ. So there is an affirmation in this ayah that every person has a free will. There is a Mashi'a. I have a Mashi'a. I have a will. And the brother has a will. And the brother has a will. And every one of us, male or female, jinn or ins, each one of us has a free will. And this is what Allah Azza wa Jal judges you upon. But also Allah Azza wa Jal has a will. إِلَّا أَن يَشَاءَ اللَّهُ. So Allah Azza wa Jal has a Mashi'a. And we, as servants of Allah Azza wa Jal, as creation, we also have will. Each one of us has a will that we can choose based on which? But we can never will something except by the will of Allah Azza wa Jal. So the will of Allah Azza wa Jal is above our will. We cannot do something unless Allah Azza wa Jal will. So the person who wronged themselves, the person who sinned, they sinned based on their own will, by their will. And Allah Azza wa Jal willed, allowed them, permitted them to sin, right? Based on their free choice, based on their free will, He allowed them to sin. Why? So that there is judgment on the day of judgment. So that everybody choose. The people of good doers will choose to do good, and the people of evil will choose to do evil. And this is the very purpose of our creation. Right? Allah Jalla wa Ala says in the ayah of Surah Tabarak, الَّذِي خَلَقَ الْمَوْتَ وَالْحَيَاةَ لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ, the one who created death and created life to test you. الْإِبْتِلَاء لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ. الْإِبْتِلَاء, this is the purpose of our creation. لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا. Who among you, to test you, who will do better, who will do good. لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا. Who will do good? This is the very purpose. And He didn't leave us like this, without guidance, without anything. On the contrary, from the mercy of Allah Azza wa Jal, He sent messengers and He's brought down books to guide us, to teach us, and to tell us that which is good and that which is evil. And then we get to choose. So, ya ikhwan, going back, this is why I want to, I'm reiterating this. Like I said, we've talked about this before. But what is so saddening, what is so shocking, is that there's so misconception, there's so misunderstanding about this very important topic. And now we're just taking the leisure, right? We're just taking it so easily that when I err, it's because of the qadr of Allah Azza wa Jal. That's how He wrote it. So easy, right? So convenient. It's not my mistake. I'm innocent. It's the qadr of Allah Azza wa Jal. Subhanallah. You chose to do it. You chose out of your own free will. Nobody forced you into sinning. Nobody forced you not to pray. Nobody forced you not to fast. Nobody forced you to do something that is impermissible, muharram. Nobody forced you into taking a loan, which is riba. Nobody forced you into cheating on others and lying and betraying and taking bribery. It is all from your own deeds. You chose to do what you did. Don't blame it on the qadr. Allah Azza wa Jal just knows what you're going to choose. And He wrote it. But you had no knowledge before of what you're going to do. Of what Allah Azza wa Jal wrote you. So don't take it as an excuse. Don't take the qadr as an excuse. Brothers and sisters, this is so important that we need to understand it ourselves. That we need to teach our children. And we need to tell them and explain to them and make them comprehend. Because, wallahi, I can dare to say that in this is the matter of death and life. The person who just takes misuse al-qadr as an excuse, then he is heading in the totally wrong way. Totally wrong direction. Because then there is no accountability. You're misusing and taking the qadr as an excuse, then you're saying that, I shouldn't be accountable for what I do. And then there is no purpose for this whole creation. How can Allah Azza wa Jal create us and then force us into doing what we do and then bringing us into accountability? How can that be? It makes no perfect sense. It makes no sense. It has absolutely no sense. So ya akhwan, to summarize, al-qadr is the secret of Allah Azza wa Jal. Sirrullah. That He did not uncover or did not tell anybody about. Except certain pieces, in certain cases, in certain circumstances, to certain people of His creation. Messengers, prophets, certain angels, right? Some of it. But he did not tell the qadar in its entirety to anybody. It is exclusively from the knowledge of Allah Azza wa Jalla. Full stop. Don't try to know it in its entirety, to try to explain it in its entirety. There's a limit for you, for me and you. We are creation, we are ibad, we are created. We're not the creator, right? That's one. Second, we know that Allah Azza wa Jal is just. We know Allah Azza wa Jal created us for a purpose. We know that Allah Azza wa Jal created us with a will. He created us with a free will to choose. But we know that Allah Azza wa Jal also has a will, the universal will. And all our wills are under the will of Allah Azza wa Jal. Nothing in His universe happens without His permission, without His will. What He wills happens, and what He does not happen. But when you do the things that you are accountable for, it is out of your own free will. Hence the accountability. Right? When I choose something, when I choose to pray, Allah Azza wa Jal will reward me for that. When I choose to sin, it is my choice that Allah Azza wa Jal, then I deserve punishment. Allah may punish me or may forgive me. But then when I sin, I deserve punishment. Now it's up to Allah Azza wa Jal whether He punishes me, or that person, punishes that person, or He may forgive them for some other reason. It's under the will of Allah Azza wa Jal. So that's very important to understand. And like I said, I'm pretty sure because of the exposure to other ideologies and to be frank with you, out of this tendency and the desires of the person not to be limited by any limitations. They don't want to submit to any orders of Allah Azza wa Jal, right? They want to follow their desires. It is so convenient, so easy in this life to just basically do and fulfill your desires and not be bound by any restrictions, and then so conveniently blame it and throw it on the qadar. Right? This is by the qadar of Allah Azza wa Jal. No. This is unacceptable. And like I said, as we just proved it, it is actually meaningless. It's not a valid excuse. It's not a valid excuse. You're making it up and you're misusing it, but it is not an excuse for your deficiencies. That's one. What you should use or invoke the qadar for is in the cases of calamities. When something befalls you, loss of a dear family member, loss of, a car, loss of job, loss or being inflicted with a sickness, whatever it is, right? Then yes, you invoke the qadar, you say, قَدَّرَ اللَّهُ وَمَا شَاءَ فَعَلَ. I got sick. This is by the qadar of Allah Azza wa Jal. I got involved into an accident without a mistake from me. قَدَّرَ اللَّهُ وَمَا شَاءَ فَعَلَ. I submit to the will of Allah. I submit to the will of Allah Azza wa Jal, who wrote this on me for a good reason, to test me, to see if I am pleased with the qadar of Allah Azza wa Jal, of what He wrote on me. Yes, in these cases of calamities, of hard time, whatever Allah Azza wa Jal wrote on me from tests and trials, absolutely, this is actually what we should say, as Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam told us and guided us to say. Some people get angry, right? Somebody make an accident with them, they get angry. Why is this happening to me? Why did this happen to me, right? This is wrong. You say, قَدَّرَ اللَّهُ وَمَا شَاءَ فَعَلَ. This is what Allah Azza wa Jal willed to happen, and it happened, as He willed it, subhanahu wa ta'ala. But when I choose to make a mistake, when I err out of my choice, I shouldn't blame it on the qadar. This is a wrong argument. It is a wrong excuse, and it will not help me in the hereafter. It's not a valid excuse on the day of judgment. Nobody will be able to argue with Allah Azza wa Jal that, oh Allah, I sinned only because of your qadar. That's not a valid argument. That's not a valid argument. I know it took a while out of our dear time and precious time But like I said, wallahi, it shocked me because this is not the first time I heard it. And I heard it yesterday, and people were arguing, and people didn't seem to understand, parents and their children. They didn't seem to understand what al-qadr and how our belief in the qadr should be. And I can tell you, wallahi, al-qadr is one of the pillars of iman. Those who understand it well, it brings them a peace of mind. Wallahi, it brings them a peace of mind. Why? Because they know whatever happens to them is from the qadr of Allah Azza wa Jal. And it brings them peace and tranquility. They don't get angry. They don't collapse in front of all the calamities that befall them. You look at the non-Muslim, you can look at the non-believers. Some of them, they collapse. They lose hope. Some of them, they completely lose hope and collapse, and sometimes they may even reach the point where they may take their own life because they cannot take those, calamities and tests and trials that Allah Azza wa Jal is putting them through. Why? Because they don't understand this. They don't understand the wisdom behind it. They don't understand. By the believer, you see him or her steadfast, because they know whatever happens to them is from the qadr of Allah Azza wa Jal. And they know that He's testing them and putting them through these calamities. At the same time, He will reward them for that. For being patient, for being pleased with the qadr of Allah Azza wa Jal. Not only that, but He will eventually also immediately help them out of it. It's not like Allah Azza wa Jal is going to put you through a test and trial and let you to go doomed. Allah Azza wa Jal is Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, brothers and sisters. Arhamur Rahimin. You're talking about Arhamur Rahimin. There are so many people who are merciful, but Allah is the most merciful among the merciful. So Allah Azza wa Jal, yes, He want to test you. He want to scratch that surface to see, is it for real? Or are we just claiming it? It is so easy to claim you're a believer in the easy times. Everybody will say, I'm a believer. It's easy. Right? When everything is going so smooth. Alhamdulillah, good job, good pay, everything going, alhamdulillah, just nice. Nice and good. Everybody will be a believer. When the test actually is, when the calamities start to come, when things go against the way that you wish them to go. This is when the real believer will actually shine. So the tests and trials and the aqdar, the unhappy qadr of Allah Azza wa Jal, the sad, not the sad in itself, but what causes sadness and sorrow in people, from the qadr of Allah Azza wa Jal, is what actually tests people and go beyond the skin to test genuine people, who's genuinely believer and who's not. Because like I said, it's easier said than done. It's easy said by the tongue that I am a believer. But let's see when things start to go not exactly the way you wish them to go, right? When things start to get a little bit difficult, are you a true believer? This is where the true believer will shine, because they believe that whatever encounters them is from the qadr of Allah Azza wa Jal, and they will get rewarded for that, and Allah Azza wa Jal will make a way out of it for them. وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ وَمَنْ يُؤْمِنْ بِاللَّهِ يَهْدِ قَلْبَهُ. Whoever believes in Allah Azza wa Jal, He will guide his heart and will find a way out of it. And as we've seen before in the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, وَاعْلَمْ أَنَّ النَّصْرَ مَعَ الصَّبْرِ وَأَنَّ الْفَرَجَ مَعَ الْكَرْبِ وَأَنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. This is similar to what Allah Azza wa Jal says. فَإِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا إِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. With difficulty comes ease. With difficulty comes ease. And you should know that ease and a way out of it comes with the difficulty and with the calamities that Allah Azza wa Jal puts us through. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us among the true believers who believe in Allah Azza wa Jal and in His books and in His messengers and in His angels, and in the day after, and in the qadar of Allah Azza wa Jal. Both the happy and unhappy from what? From the way we see it. From the aspect or from the perspective of the abd, me and you. The happy and unhappy qadar of Allah Azza wa Jal, to actually see how we should believe in it and take it with pleasure, with rida, pleased with whatever Allah Azza wa Jal wrote on us. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us among the happy ones in this dunya and in the hereafter. Before we get to, inshallah, continue our topic, any questions about that? By all means, brothers and sisters, even the sisters up there, or somebody who's watching online, by all means, if there's still any doubt, or there's still you're in doubt of something, you don't fully understand this, please ask questions. I'd rather have you ask questions now and clear any doubts that may still be there and not continue. And leaving those doubts, still lingering in your mind. Like I said, wallahi, some people actually, out of these doubts and misunderstanding about the qadar, eventually they kept on evolving until they took that person out of the fold of Islam. Some people went so astray with respect to the belief, al-iman bil-qadar, which is one of the 6 pillars of al-iman. So it is so important. A person is not a Muslim, let alone believer, not a Muslim unless they believe in the qadar, unless they have the minimum mandatory amount or level of the iman in the qadar. And some people, like I said, they had so much doubt and they tried to go into deep into the qadar and try to understand it, when Allah Azza wa Jal made our understanding limited. Beyond and fully understanding the qadar is beyond our minds and comprehension. So if you try to go deeper than that, a lot of people went so astray and ended up disbelievers. They ended up going out of the fold of Islam. May Allah protect us. Any questions?
So when you answered these questions last night, and then Shaykh also, does he understand? After all this, does he understand what you say?
I thought he did. The brother is asking about what happened yesterday. He was there as well, and he heard the conversation. So he's asking me.
It's a real question.
It's a real. It's not a perceived danger. It's a real danger. It's a real danger, not a perceived one, because it is happening. You're hearing it. You're seeing it. You're experimenting it. You're hearing it from so many people, bringing up this discussion. Children, out of their exposure to other ideologies, challenging their parents and arguing with them. How come that this is from the qadar and Allah Azza wa Jal then punishes me because I did what He knew I'm going to do and what He wrote on me. It's happening. It's happening, and like I said, children are challenging and arguing with their parents that how come Allah Azza wa Jal is punishing or will punish us based on qadar that He wrote on us. And the parents are not able to explain this to them. Why? Because they themselves don't understand it to begin with. They don't have a clear understanding of it. So how can they actually explain it to and clear it to their children? And this is, ya akhwan, wallahi, this is a big problem that I've seen. This is the single most serious problem and threat that is threatening the Muslim in this country. Is not having enough knowledge to be able to counter, to be able to stand firm on the deen, to be able to be steadfast on the deen, and not, start having doubts and going astray because of the different arguments that you're hearing. You hear argument from these people, you hear argument from those people, and they start whispering in your mind, and then doubts start to raise in your mind. And if they go, they keep on going around and around in your mind, and you have no answer to them, then they're not going to stay right there. They're going to evolve and evolve and evolve, and then until you reach a point where you start questioning the very deen itself. very deep. And like I said, some people may live with those doubts, but these obviously are not firm Muslim, because they're living with those doubts. And some people cannot take them anymore, and they ended up, leaving the folds of Islam, because it's not making any sense for them. But I can tell you, there's nothing that in the deen of Islam, there's nothing in this religion that there is no argument for it. There's no proof on it. There is no explanation to it. There is absolutely nothing. If a person has doubts, it is because of your lack of understanding. Seek knowledge, seek answers, come and ask. Don't think that the deen, that there are no answers in the deen. That's wrong. There's an answer to everything, alhamdulillah. Allah Azza wa Jal made this deen so clear. And there are so many answers, clear answers, for any person who is truly and sincerely seeking haqq. But if you've never been educated, if you've never been taught, and you don't, and because of that lack of knowledge, you start doubting and having doubts, then this is because of your shortcomings. That's why we keep on emphasizing these circles of knowledge and the importance of that. The parents, and I can tell you, this is one of the things that the parents, he admitted it, and that's unfortunately the reality, the sad reality that keeps on happening over and over again. He admitted it, that brother, when I came to this country, is to actually seeking a better life. Seeking better financial life, seeking better job, better income, living a better life, right? He didn't necessarily have a lot of knowledge, right? And they were too busy to look after their kids, see what they're doing and how, getting their what they deserve from the beneficial knowledge, from what they need to know from the deen. And all of a sudden, before they know it, right, they're all grown up, and mashallah, they have their own, thinking and comprehension, and they've been talking to other people from other, ideologies, and they grew their own understanding now. And sometimes it is too late. Sadly, sometimes it's too late. You've waited so long. You've been so you've neglected. You've been so negligent toward your kids, toward your family, and all of a sudden, they're all grown up. Time passes so quickly. Subhanallah. Today is the night of the 1st of Safar. This is the 2nd month. Wallahi, it feels yesterday we started the year, right? Yesterday we started Muharram, a new year, with the blink of an eye. This is what it feels, right? A full month went by. Allahu Akbar. Can you imagine? A full month has gone by. We just started the year. All of a sudden, one of its 12 months is over. Khalas, we archived it. Now we're started a new month. Subhanallah. Allahu Akbar. So they've been too busy, making money machine, and they've been negligent about their kids, and now they're, okay, my kids don't buy this. They don't buy it. I think he understood, and I think he's taking responsibility. May Allah guide him, may Allah guide his kids, may Allah guide all Muslims.
I said he's a Muslim, he's coming over there to pray.
Yeah.
He's regular.
Yeah.
I don't know that.
Well, the benefit, or what we should take out of this story, because like I said, it's not this is not a one-time story or the only story, but this keeps on repeating and repeating and repeating. You hear it all the time. Wallahi, I've heard it many, many times. Literally the same story. Literally the same story. And I can tell you, I'm not just making it up that some people reach a point where they're leaving the folds of Islam. I've seen it with my own eyes. I know people in the area whose kids have left the folds of Islam. And if you want even a more shocking, I hate to say it, wallahi, I hate to say it, and it bleeds my heart to say it. But if you want even a more shocking story, I've heard of somebody who is حافظ لكتاب الله, who left the folds of Islam. حافظ, memorizer of the Quran. حافظ لكتاب الله left the folds of Islam because it's not making any sense to him. They're not understanding what they memorize. There's no knowledge. Not a matter just of memorizing the letters. I'm not belittling that. Don't get me wrong. حفظ كتاب الله, wallahi, one of the honorable acts. Wallahi, one of the honorable acts. But it shouldn't stop there. It's not a matter of memorizing the letters and the words and the ayat only, without having any idea of what we recite. You should know what the meaning, and this is what we've been doing. If you notice, al-Aqidah and all the previous parts of this halaqah, from the very beginning, from when we explained and commented on the 40 Hadith Nawawi, and then on the Tawheed, and then on, we took Tahara, the chapter on Tahara, and then we started this topic, which is commentary on Aqidah At-Tahawiyyah, right? If you noticed, across all of these, we're using the ayat, we're using the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. We don't mention anything except by its proof. Everything is based on the proof, on the evidence, on a dalil from al-kitab and al-sunnah. This means that we're actually explaining what the meaning of these ayat and the meaning of these ahadith, right? I hope you actually realize that and you appreciate that this is what we're doing. And I'm really hoping that whenever you actually listen or you yourself recite those ayat, or you hear them being recited in the salah or outside of the salah, when you hear these ayat, you actually remember what we said. And you actually remember the meanings, and makes you and increases your belief, your iman, right? In Allah Azza wa Jal. وُجُوهٌ يَوْمَئِذٍ نَاظِرَةٌ إِلَى رَبِّهَا نَاظِرَةٌ. What is the meaning of that? Right? I find no excuse for you now. Whenever you hear it, then this actually should make you long to see Allah Azza wa Jal. And it should remind you of the ultimate reward from Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. This is the ultimate pleasure that all those, like we said, all those who fold their sleeves, they do this for entering Jannah, and specifically to see Allah Azza wa Jal with their own eyes, to be pleased by looking at Allah Azza wa Jal. And this is what makes the faces so radiant. Nadira, radiant. Because why? Because ila rabbiha nadira. It is looking at their Lord, subhanahu wa tabaraka wa ta'ala. He is the ultimate pleasure. He is the ultimate beauty. Like we said, ya akhwan, we have to appreciate that. All of these i'tiqad, all of these parts and matters of aqidah, they're not solid matters. They're not just theories like we always say, we've said many times before. You have to actually, if this doesn't find a way to your heart and make you draw closer to Allah Azza wa Jal, what is the value of knowing that from your aqidah is that you'll see Allah Azza wa Jal? This should make your heart long to that and do more and more and more. It should make you think twice and 3 times and 4 times before you commit any sin. Because this is what you're putting in jeopardy. The disbelievers and the hypocrites on the day of judgment, Allah Azza wa Jal told us that they will be punished by the most severe punishment. What is that? They will be deprived from seeing their Lord. كَلَّا إِنَّهُمْ, those criminals who associated with Allah Azza wa Jal or disbelieved altogether in Allah Azza wa Jal. كَلَّا إِنَّهُمْ عَنْ رَبِّهِمْ يَوْمَئِذٍ لَمَحْجُوبُونَ. They will be deprived and punished and deprived from seeing Allah Azza wa Jal. He is the ultimate pleasure. The ultimate beauty. Allah Azza wa Jal is the most beautiful. And from His beauty, He bestowed upon this universe. Everything that you see beautiful in this universe is from the beauty of Allah Azza wa Jal, and it is a small fraction from the beauty of Allah Azza wa Jal. Everything. It is only a tiny fraction of the beauty of Allah Azza wa Jal. Everything that is beautiful because Allah Azza wa Jal bestowed upon it from His beauty. Even all the beauty that we see, that we've been promised in Jannah, everything that Rasulullah ﷺ described, it is beyond our imagination. What's in Jannah is so beautiful beyond our imagination that Rasulullah ﷺ said it is beyond anything that you've seen, beyond anything that you've heard, and beyond anything that you've thought of. Yet, all the beauty of this dunya and all the beauty of this Jannah, even Jannah, notice, all the beauty of Jannah is nothing. Wallahi, it is nothing compared to the beauty of Allah Azza wa Jalla. Nothing. Doesn't even compare. The beauty of Jannah, everything that we see beautiful in this dunya, and the beauty of Jannah that is beyond our comprehension is nothing compared to the beauty of Allah Azza wa Jalla. This is what we're talking about. That is why we say that ru'yatullah tabaraka wa ta'ala, seeing of Allah Azza wa Jalla by the people of paradise, that Imam Abu Ja'far is saying is haqq, true, right? Is the ultimate, is the most honorable thing to know. And it is the most honorable goal to work toward. And this is what keep the hard doers and the hard workers. They do what they do. They spend the night on their feet praying to Allah Azza wa Jal. It makes the people fast, the mandatory and the optional, and do the good deeds and deprive people from sleep, that make them wake up during the night and stand up before Allah Azza wa Jal. It makes the people leave all the pleasures of this dunya. Those people who forsake the beauty and the pleasure of this dunya for the sake of the Dar al-Akhirah is because of this ru'ya of Allah Azza wa Jal. That they've been promised and that they have belief is that they're going to see Allah Azza wa Jal. So what I'm trying to say is that these matters of Aqidah are not solid without any consequence, that they have no impact on your amal and on your belief. A lot of people think that this way, that the Aqidah is something dry, something theory, so hard to understand, has no impact, has no relationship to your deeds. On the contrary, wallahi, they are dead wrong. They're dead wrong. On the contrary, the matters, masail al-mu'taqad, the matters of Aqidah, have the greatest impact, on your deeds, on how you conduct your life. To be frank with you, this is what we do. We do what we do because of the rewards that Allah Azza wa Jal has promised us. Because of what Allah Azza wa Jal has promised the good doers. The reward that Allah Azza wa Jal has reserved and has hidden for them. لَهُمْ مَا يَشَاءُونَ فِيهَا وَلَدَيْنَا مَزِيدٌ. When you hear this ayah now in Surah Qaf, the next time you hear it, I want you to remember what it means. لَهُمْ مَا يَشَاءُونَ فِيهَا وَلَدَيْنَا مَزِيدٌ. Allah Azza wa Jal is telling us that lahum, who is lahum? To the people of paradise. For them, who them? The people of paradise. They have what they long for. Everything that they long for, everything that they wish is there in paradise. وَلَدَيْنَا مَزِيدٌ. We have more. And that is the ru'yah. رُؤْيَةُ اللَّهِ تَبَارَكَ وَتَعَالَى. لِلَّذِينَ أَحْسَنُوا الْحُسْنَى وَزِيَادَةً. For those who did well, الْحُسْنَى, الْجَنَّةِ, as Rasulullah ﷺ explained it. Remember? Hadith, Sahih Muslim. Hadith Suhayb bin al-Rumi radiyallahu anhu. He explained the husna al-jannah wa ziyada, which is looking at Allah Azza wa Jalla. This should excite you. Every time you hear this, every time this gets recited, or you hear it being recited, or you recite it yourself, it should have an impact of exciting you, getting the appetite to Jannah, to see Allah Azza wa Jal. So the next time, impermissible money presents itself to you, you say, no. I don't want to jeopardize seeing Allah Azza wa Jal. I don't want to jeopardize entering Jannah. This money is nothing compared to what awaits me. No matter how big it is, lying to people, betraying people, taking briberies, cheating on people, not giving them their rights. You say, I don't want to do that. I don't want to disobey Allah Azza wa Jal because what awaits me is so bigger and so more pleasing. Far bigger. Otherwise, I'm settling for what is less and leaving what is up there. أَتَسْتَبْدِلُونَ الَّذِي هُوَ أَدْنَى بِالَّذِي هُوَ خَيْرٌ. You forsake what is better and bigger and more pleasing, and you take what is lesser, and that's going to go away. All of this from the dunya, it's going to go away. You take your money, you take that money that doesn't belong to you. Do you think you're going to take it to the grave? What good does it do to you when you actually go to the grave? We're going to all head to there. And then when you stand in front of Allah Azza wa Jal, of your Lord, what good does that money do for you? You're not going to take anything with you. But what you're putting into jeopardy is dukhul al-Jannah and ru'yatullahi tabaraka wa ta'ala, the ultimate pleasure. And this argument keeps on going and going. This applies to everything that we've commented on, everything that we've explained in this Aqidah, text of Aqidah. It has an impact on your deen every day. You feel yourself slacking off. You feel like you're coming slowly to the salah. Remind yourself. Oh, ya nafs, tuqi ila ru'yat al-aziz al-jabbar. Remind yourself, say, oh soul, aren't you longing to see Allah Azza wa Jal? And that should actually excite your nafs, and make it full of energy. Energize your nafs. It will come forward now. It was slacking off, taking it easy. Now all of a sudden it is full energy by the tawfiq of Allah Azza wa Jal. You see that you're full of energy to come to the pleasure of Allah Azza wa Jal, whatever He ordained upon you. This should have that impact. It's not a text, ink on paper. We listen to it, and then by the time we're gone, khalas, forget about it. No, that's wrong. If you're brothers and sisters, let me just summarize this and finish by this. If this is how you've been understanding this aqidah, then you're misunderstanding it. This is not ink on paper. This is not just statements without any implication, without any effect on your deeds. It should impact your deeds. And it should impact how you behave. Knowing that there is Jannah, knowing that there is hellfire. Knowing that there is Jannah should excite you. Knowing that there is hellfire should scare you. Should scare you from disobeying Allah Azza wa Jal. Should scare you from not coming and performing the orders of your Lord. Tabaraka wa ta'ala. All of this should be present in your head. I know we still pray at 8, right? I know this discussion took all of it, but I hope that it was worthwhile. I hope that it actually refreshed why we're here in your mind. It refreshed how you should look at this, right? It refreshed what it means that we believe in the qadr of Allah Azza wa Jal. What does it mean, right? Next time, if you are present in a meeting with your family or your friends or whatever, and this topic is brought, now you know what you should actually argue with them. How you should actually tell them that, no, what you're using, you're misusing al-qadar. And it's wrong. It's not an excuse. It's not an excuse. It's not a valid excuse. Now you know how to answer. Hopefully. Fine. So, as you know, we've actually covered those statements from Imam Abu Ja'far, the 58th and the 59th statement. We talk about the Aqidah of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, that the people of paradise see their Lord, and that is haqq, this is the truth. We said that still, the fact that we say, and there is a consensus, we said this is one of the matters of Aqidah. This ru'ya, seeing of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, is actually one of the matters of Aqidah that has the most consensus upon. From Sahaba, from Tabi'een, from Tabi' Tabi'een, from the A'immat al-Islam, A'immat al-Deen. They had a consensus, absolute consensus on this matter, without the hint of doubt, that the people of paradise will see their Lord with their eyes. It is a seeing by the eyes, vision, not a seeing by the heart, nor is it a seeing by comprehension. It is a seeing by the eyes, looking at Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. And we said this is one of the most honorable goals for those believers and for those good doers. And we said that there's overwhelming evidence to this from the book of Allah Azza wa Jal, and from the hadith, from the sunnah of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And we mentioned, I'm obviously going very quickly, and we mentioned so many ahadith, remember? So many ahadith from the sihah and from the sunan, from the ahadith of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, where he left it crystal clear, without the hint of doubt, that we will see our Lord on the day in paradise, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. And not only that, so easy, we will be able to look at Allah Azza wa Jal, so easy, like we look at the sun in the middle of the day, and like we look at the moon in the middle of the night of a full moon, right? We see it so easily. Do we have any difficulty seeing it on a crystal clear sky? So easy, right? From everywhere. You don't even have to move to see it. Likewise, and this is a comparison, again, don't get me wrong, it's not a comparison of Allah Azza wa Jal to the sun or the moon. It is a comparison of the ease of seeing to the ease of seeing. Yani you see Allah Azza wa Jal easily, like you see the sun and the moon so easily on a crystal sky, right? We don't have to crowd to see Allah Azza wa Jal, nor is there any difficulty in seeing Allah Azza wa Jal. We see Allah Azza wa Jal easily with our own eyes, and Imam Abu Ja'far, he gave the reasoning for this, one of the reasoning, which is the most robust evidence, is the saying of Allah Azza wa Jal, وُجُوهٌ يَوْمَئِذٍ نَاظِرَةٌ إِلَىٰ رَبِّهَا نَاظِرَةٌ, Surah Al-Qiyamah. And we said that this is a crystal clear indication that we will be looking at Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. The reason being is that Allah Azza wa Jal is saying, إِلَىٰ رَبِّهَا نَاظِرَةٌ, يعني ناظرة إلى ربها. And another ila, we said, only has a meaning of looking at. Remember? We said another in the Arabic language, or in the Quran and the Sunnah, comes in multiple meanings, right? One of them, and this is what some people explain this ayah, they said, no, the meaning of nadira in this ayah is actually waiting for the ease of their Lord. We say, no, this is wrong. This is one of the meaning of another. Like the hypocrites will say on the day of judgment, right? They will say to the believers, wait for us. يوم يقول المنافقون والمنافقات للذين آمنوا انظرونا نقتبس من نوركم. انظرونا, wait for us. They will say, wait for us so that we can actually use your light to be able to see. Because their light, وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ, we seek refuge in Allah Azza wa Jal. Their light, the light of the hypocrites will be turned off. So they will be in total darkness. They can't see. So they say to the believers, wait for us. انظرونا, نظر. انظرونا, wait for us. Stop and wait for us so that we can use your light to see. That's one meaning. But this is when it is used on its own. Nazar, without any other word or term. And we know that in any language, Arabic language or other languages, the same verb, based on the structure of it, how it comes in the sentence, it can have multiple meanings. Looking at, looking after, looking forward, looking backward, etc., etc. Likewise, in the Arabic language, we say an-nazar ila. It means that you're looking with your own eyes. It's a look by vision. Like Allah Azza wa Jal invites everybody to look at the creation of Allah Azza wa Jal. أَفَلَا يَنْظُرُونَ إِلَى الْإِبِلِ نظر إلى أفلا ينظرون إلى الإبل. Do they not look at the camels, how they were created? أفلا ينظرون إلى الإبل كيف خلقت, how it was created. Don't they look at the camels, how Allah Azza wa Jal created? وإلى السماء, يعني أفلا ينظرون إلى السماء كيف رفعت وإلى الجبال كيف نصبت, to the mountains, and إلى الأرض كيف سطحت, how Allah Azza wa Jal made it easy to made the ground straight and easy to be used for mankind. The third one is نظر في, which is to actually think and contemplate. أفلم ينظروا أولم ينظروا في ملكوت السماوات والأرض. Do they not contemplate and think about the dominion of the heavens and the earth? Allah Azza wa Jal is inviting humanity to think, to look at the creation of Allah Azza wa Jal, both the skies and in the skies and in the earth. This huge creation of Allah Azza wa Jal. Look at it, contemplate it, think about it, and know the Creator through His creation, by His signs, His great signs in the earth, on earth and in the skies, and use it as an evidence to the Creator Subhanahu wa Taala, and He is the only one to be worshipped, or who deserves to be worshipped. All of this is from what we discussed, and also we discussed some of the arguments, false arguments that some of the groups have used to deny that the people of paradise will look at Allah Azza wa Jal, and we answered all of them. We refuted all of them. Remember, they used that Musa alayhi salam said, or Allah Azza wa Jal said to Musa, "Lan tarani," and we explained why this doesn't mean that we will not see Him Subhanahu wa Taala in Jannah. That this is only restricted to this dunya. And we also looked at the different false arguments that they used. For example, Allah Azza wa Jal says, لا تدركه الأبصار. Allah Azza wa Jal said that the vision does not perceive Him. And we said this is not an indication that we will not see Him, because negating perception that you will be able to encompass completely does not necessarily mean that you don't see. For you may see certain things and may not be able to encompass them. What is negated and denied in the ayah is the perception, complete perception, encompassing fully by vision and not mere seeing. And we said that you can look at the sky, you can see the sky and not encompass it completely, right? So denying encompassing does not deny vision. For people can see certain things and not be able to envision or encompass it or grasp it completely. So we said, and that is why Imam Abu Ja'far, he said, ru'ya haq, but notice, without encompassing Him, based on la tudrikuhu al-absar, and without kayfiyya, yani without knowing how it will be, because nobody knows how that seeing will be. We say we will see Him, but we don't know how. Allah Azza wa Jal knows how. We don't get into that discussion of how we will see Allah Azza wa Jal. طيب. I think this is where also, the last thing we discussed last week is that this seeing of Allah Azza wa Jal it applies to both male and female, man and woman, male and female, of al-ins and al-jinn. And also it also covers al-malaika. The malaika who are in Jannah. So the malaika who are in Jannah, and the male and female of both ins and jinn, both see Allah Azza wa Jal if they enter Jannah. So those from the male and female of the ins and al-jinn who enter Jannah will be able to see Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, because we say that there is no dalil, there is no evidence to otherwise, and all of them are mukallafeen. Both male and female, from al-ins and al-jinn, are all mukallafeen, yani they are addressed with the orders from Allah Azza wa Jal, and if they fulfill them, right, and they deserve entering Jannah, then they likewise, all of them, they deserve to look at Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala as a reward for what they used to do in this life, from the good deeds. All of them deserve to see Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. We also discussed that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam on the night of al-Mi'raj, when he was ascended to the skies, we said the most plausible and the strongest opinion based on the dalil is that he did not see his Lord subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we saw that the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam and hadith Aisha, remember all of that, we mentioned all of this, and he alayhi salatu wasallam says in the hadith sahih that I saw light. He was asked directly. He said, I saw light, or he said, light, how can I see him? How can I see him? Tabaraka wa ta'ala. So, the most plausible and the strongest opinion is that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not see his Lord, and we say that mu'taqad or aqidah Ahlul Sunnati wal Jama'ah is that it is not possible to see Allah Azza wa Jal in this dunya, but it is possible, not only possible, it will happen, no doubt about it, haqq, that the people of Jannah will see their Lord, tabaraka wa ta'ala. Allahumma inna nas'aluka min fadlika wa mannika wa karamik. Allahumma munna alayna bi ru'yati wajhika al-karim. Allahumma amin. Quickly in the few minutes that are left, maybe in the next 5 minutes, inshallah, Imam Abu Ja'far in the following statement, he said, 60th statement, he said, وَتَفْسِيرُهُ عَلَى مَا أَرَادَهُ اللَّهُ تَعَالَى وَعَلِمَهُ, and its explanation is as Allah, the Most High, wanted and knew. Tafsiruhu, its explanation of what? Explanation of ru'ya, looking at Allah Azza wa Jal. Yani he's referring to the explanation of this seeing of Allah Azza wa Jal is as Allah, the Most High, wanted and knew. So he's saying that this tafsir of the seeing of Allah Azza wa Jal is according to what He wanted. Will happen. The seeing of Allah Azza wa Jal will happen according to what He wanted subhanahu wa ta'ala and what He knew. And this is important from Imam Abu Ja'far, by the way. This is a very important statement from him right after discussion of seeing. Why? Because he's basically answering back to those who deviated from the understanding of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. And remember, we've talked about so many groups who deviated from them. Some of them denied the ru'ya altogether. They said it's not possible. And the other group, they affirmed it, but in a deviated way. They said it's going to be looking to no direction, or it's going to be a seeing by the heart, or a seeing by the comprehension, not a seeing by the eyes. And all of this is a deviated understanding of this. While the true understanding, and this is what he is referring to, this is the meaning of this ru'ya, is what Allah Azza wa Jal wanted and He knew, which is the understanding of Ahlul Sunnati wal Jama'ah, that it is a seeing by the eyes, it is a vision by the vision, and that is why Allah Azza wa Jal was describing the faces, and the faces are the place of the tool of seeing, which is the eyes. The eyes are the tool by which we see. And that is why Allah Azza wa Jal was referring to the faces. The faces are radiant. Why? Because they are looking at Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. We say tafsir. Notice he said, وَتَفْسِيرُهُ. You all know tafsir from tafsir al-Quran, right? But a tafsir is a term in the Arabic language that has one of two meanings. It can actually mean one of two things. Briefly, inshallah, and we'll resume next week. The first meaning of a tafsir is the explanation of what comes to the mind, what comes to the mind from what the text appears to be. That's the first meaning of a tafsir. Yani, you say tafsir al-Quran. Tafsir al-Quran is the meaning that comes to the Arabic speaker. The Arabic speaker, when we read the ayah, the apparent meaning of the ayah is a tafsir. What comes to the person with a straight mind, with a understanding of the Arabic language, with the apparent meaning. Yani, for example, you read the ayah about al-Rahmah, about the mercy of Allah Azza wa Jalla. You say, I understand the Rahmah. I understand the meaning of mercy. I understand what it means. Yani, Allah Azza wa Jalla is merciful. This is one of His attributes. It means that Allah Azza wa Jalla is merciful with His creation. Now, the reality of that mercy is beyond my comprehension. And I don't get into that. This is the apparent meaning of the text. And this is the first type of tafsir. And this is what he referred to by that ru'ya is haqq. Imam Abu Ja'far, he said this ru'ya is haqq, and this is the tafsir, which is the apparent meaning of a ru'ya, that we will be looking at Allah Azza wa Jal without getting into how and without encompassing Allah Azza wa Jal. That's the first meaning. The second meaning, which is of the meaning of a tafsir, is actually knowing what the reality of the things will be in the hereafter. So tafsir in that meaning, tafsir al-ru'ya will have to do with how that ru'ya of Allah Azza wa Jal will be, right? And what the reality, how we will be looking at Allah Azza wa Jal. Because we said that from our aqidah is that we cannot see Allah Azza wa Jal in this dunya. Why? Because we are too weak to be able to see Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have no power. We don't have the power to see Allah Azza wa Jal, to be able to see Allah Azza wa Jal in this dunya. How it will be in the hereafter? The scholars have said that Allah Azza wa Jal will give us, and I'm referring to us in the hope that we will be among the people of Jannah. Say Ameen. Allahumma Ameen. The people of Jannah, may Allah make us among them, will be able to see Allah Azza wa Jal. How? Because Allah Azza wa Jal will bestow upon them, will give them power with which they will be able to see Allah Azza wa Jal. What kind of power? How they will be able to use those power? How those power will allow the people of Jannah to see Allah Azza wa Jal? This is all beyond our comprehension. The reality of that seeing is also called tafsir. Yani how it will be. This is beyond our comprehension, and this is only known by Allah Azza wa Jal. The reality of these things, reality of mercy, reality of the seeing of Allah Azza wa Jal, the reality of all the attributes of Allah Azza wa Jal, including how we will be able to see Allah Azza wa Jal, this is all from a tafsir of how things will actually be on the day of judgment or after people enter paradise. And like I said, this is from the knowledge of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. And here, this is what he is referring to. The Imam Abu Ja'far, he's saying that if you are looking into how this, or questioning how we will see Allah Azza wa Jal, then this is according to what Allah Azza wa Jal wants and knows. We shouldn't get into this discussion, because this only belongs to Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. Let me stop here, inshallah, and we will resume next week, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. In the next minute or two, any questions from the brothers, or from the sister side? Any question really quick or comment about everything we talk? I know this discussion of qadar, and how we should actually understand our discussion of aqidah and the application on our deeds. I know it took the majority of the time. We hardly had any time to actually talk about al-aqidah today. But if there is any question about anything we said today. No? Sure? Tafadhal. They take the test.
Yes. So it means that you are committing the sin or you're failing the exam, not because that teacher has already written it for you. It's because he already knows that if you come in this position, you will either kind of step away from it, or you will commit that sin.
Okay.
So
it's one of the, I wouldn't say this is the best way of explaining it, because obviously we always say to Allah belongs the best example, right? So there's no way we can compare to Allah Azza wa Jal. Second, it may not be very clear to certain people how the teacher would know what every student will do, right? they may not be able to tell. But I think you pointed to something important, which is what we mentioned before. And this is something that everybody should understand. That the mere fact that Allah Azza wa Jal knew what you're going to do, right, is not the reason why you did what you did. Knowledge of Allah Azza wa Jal is not what you did. You did what you did. And the deed is based on your free will. Allah Azza wa Jal wrote that in the Qadr, and writing in the Qadr. And the knowledge of Allah Azza wa Jal is way different than the actual deed. He didn't force you into doing what you did, right? He knew what you're going to do, and He wrote it. And this writing and this knowledge is different than actual doing. The actual doing is from the servant himself or herself, right? So don't take excuse in the knowledge of Allah Azza wa Jal. He gave you a free will. وَمَا تَشَاءُونَ إِلَّا أَن يَشَاءَ اللَّهُ. So we have a mashi'ah. We have a mashi'ah out of our own free will, right? And we chose, and he didn't know the person who sinned before. How did he know that Allah Azza wa Jal wrote him that way? And this is what is so ironic. Why don't you say that Allah Azza wa Jal wrote you as a good doer and do good? Why you always claim that Allah Azza wa Jal wrote you as a sinner and this is why you sinned? How did you know beforehand? This was made hidden from you, like I said, for a very good reason, for a wise reason. There's a wisdom behind it, right? So you had no way of knowing that you were written as a sinner. You're actually using that as an excuse after the fact, after you actually sinned. Before you sinned, you didn't know. So we ask that question: why don't you do the good deed and say, "This is how Allah Azza wa Jal wrote me"? Why you're saying that I am sinning because Allah Azza wa Jal wrote me that way? Well, do it the other way. They're not going to do that. And like I said, they won't accept it when it's against them. A thief comes to their house and steal them. They're not going to take it that this was by the qadr of Allah Azza wa Jal and just forgive me. They're not going to buy that argument. That why do you use that argument when you sin? You see the discrepancy? So it doesn't work. It's not a sound argument.
So when a person is born, Allah knows that this person is going to go to heaven or hell. So I've heard this, and it might be somewhere in the hadith somewhere, that Allah is giving you this time to show you that you have committed this sin, and this is why I'm putting you in hell. It would be easier for Allah to kind of pick him up and put him in hell or heaven just like that.
Right. But then, if he did this, some people may ask, let's finish at this inshallah. Some people may argue, but if Allah Azza wa Jal knew already or knows already who will go to Jannah and who will go to hellfire, why create us in the beginning? Just people of Jannah will be admitted into Jannah, and the people of hellfire, wal-iyadhu billah, will be thrown into hellfire. If he did that, then people will have an argument on the day of judgment. But I never did it, right? So they will argue with Allah Azza wa Jal. Oh Allah, you're throwing me, or iyadhu billah, the person of hellfire will say, oh Allah, you're throwing me into hellfire, but I never did what you're saying I did. That's why He created us, so that we do what we do. And that will be used on the day of judgment. You did that and you did that. You have no argument. You cannot claim that I didn't do it. Right? You did it. And this is your deed. And the deeds are always attributed to the person, not to Allah Azza wa Jal. And that is why Allah Azza wa Jal says in the ayah, addressing His Rasul alayhi salatu wassalam. He said, قُلْ إِنَّ صَلَاتِي. Say, Ya Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam. Say, my prayer. قُلْ إِنَّ صَلَاتِي وَنُسُكِي وَمَحْيَايَ وَمَمَاتِي لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. So it's my salah, my fasting, my zakah, my siyam, my hajj. Right? All of the good deeds are mine. Likewise, all the sins are mine. I chose them. I chose to do them. You see? So we have no argument against Allah Azza wa Jal, Ta'ala Allah, on the day of judgment that I didn't do it. You're saying, you know that I'm going to do it, but I never did it. He created us, and we lived our life, and we do the deeds. He knew them and decreed them, but we did them. They're our deeds. Now, اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. هذا والله أعلم وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى وصحبه ومن اهتدى بهداه إلى يوم الدين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
حي على الفلاح.